agree that a school without a toilet is not a school. A school with a poor building structure, for safety reasons, nobody also would like his or her child to be in that kind of schools. And for our non-Gambian brothers and sisters, the rule is also very clear in terms of opening a school. You have to have a co-partner. If you don't have a co-partner, it's like you are also operating outside the laws of the Gambia. And the Minister of Education cannot but close that kind of school. These are points, and there are many more points which I would allow the people who are going to make the presentation of the report to go into detail, but I felt these things I need to share with you. And we would also like to emphasize that from now on, for those schools that are opening illegally, we may not just close the schools, but there could also be sanctions attached to the schools. And I think we need to take note of that. Nobody has any excuse to open a school illegally without getting the prior approval. It doesn't happen in any country, so it should not happen here as well. So please, let's take note of that. Like I said, if you have any issue that's not clear here, you come to the ministry, we will clarify it to you. Our doors are open. If you need a guideline for operating schools, come to the ministry, we'll give you a copy. So ignorance here is not an excuse. The report we are presenting today is limited to Region 1 because we're still working on Region 2, but we still felt we should invite them because the issues might be the same for sensitization purpose. But hopefully by next week, the report for Region 2 will also be ready. Those are some of the things I need to, I felt I should share with you. The medium of communication is not exclusively English because we want to reach out to as many people as we can. And I think everybody speaks one or two local languages. So we will make the forum as open as possible. Belegi balama jox PS kaddu wala ministre maa ngi leen a gërëm di leen sant ci seen teewaay bi kontaan nañ trop ci seen teewaay bi waaye ci gàttal li ma bëgg a wax moo di ñu fi nekk intérêt yi mën nañoo utee xalaat yi tamit mën nañoo utee waaye jubluwaay bi benn la moo di xale yi nekk Gambia mën a am éducation bu sell la te loolu foog naa ñëpp soxla nañ ko ba léegi maa ngi ñaax ku nekk ku fi nekk ñu bàyyi xel ci loolu te sarta bi tamit sarta dëkk bi tamit ñu fexe ne ñu taxawal ko loolu lu am solo la comme nga mu fo maa di mandinkoolu kontaan la janna la munkum ma da ka faale jang wala mi diko banko ay luwalla soto karambuna karola laftam be en hakkiloto woto ñi malong na ministry to ñenen karoke be mol taraje mul be kibarol ñi dilel janimbe bandiraɓe haalde pular kadi mi yewta mo seeɗa pular o laabanno bete kono on jarama ko ari ɗo foy hay joni kulle uddito école o si tawino aɗa yiɗi uddita école a wawi arde ministre imɓe ɓeno toon a wawi yewtirɓe ɓe wawa jondema hakkil ko wonta wadde on jarama joni mi jonna PS o kanko kadi o haala e kulle wonde on jarama.
The Honorable Babu Gay Sonko of the National Assembly, Permanent Secretary MOPSI, the Deputy Permanent Secretary Technical, and the Deputy Permanent Secretary Admin, directors on the high table, your government officials here present, the chairperson, Birkama Area Council, the chairperson of EFANET, the coordinator FANET, the chief of Bulengat Alaji Bakari Baji, Alkalos here present, chairpersons of the conferences of principals, heads of schools and proprietors of schools, head of School of Education, Gambia College, students, members of the press, all other protocols duly and respectfully observed. It gives me great pleasure to be here to interface with stakeholders in education. And I want to begin by welcoming you all to this forum and thanking you for responding to our invitation to attend. This shows your commitment to the education of our children. And I want to say that this is a family meeting because whatever happens in the education system in this country will affect all of us one way or the other. The establishment of the task force that went to visit the schools in Region 1, and they're now in Region 2, and let me from the outset say that it's going to be a permanent task force that will be going to the schools on an annual basis. It came about as a result of Region 1 CCM sometime in July that took members of CCM to schools, and the reports on what was found in some schools was alarming. This coupled with the fact that even at the level of cabinet, it had become a concern that there is a growing proliferation of schools in this country. And there has to be some way of putting in place the checks and balances that will control the operations of these schools. So in August last year, the task force was established and they were given a TOR based on what is in the Education Act and the regulations that govern the delivery of education in this country. Let me hasten to say that it's not limited to the basic and secondary schools. I'm sure those of you that have been listening to the radio and TV have heard the National Training Authority under the Ministry of Higher Education also calling on school owners to ensure that they register their schools. At some point, their centers, at some point, they will be going out with their task forces just like we are doing, because there has to be some control of education delivery services in this country. As has already been alluded to, 242 schools in Region 1 were visited and 84 schools were closed but keys given back. I am sure that you are all aware that in any country there would be an act governing education service delivery. There would be regulations that accompany the act. And there's nothing that has been done that is outside those two documents that have been put in place. And they went through cabinet, they went through the National Assembly and got ratified and were put in place and are alive. So I want to enjoin each one of you that wants to go into the business of education to make sure that you acquaint yourself with what is in the Act and the regulations. These regulations, let me remind you also, and the Act are not static documents. They are reviewed and looked into as necessary as we move forward in the delivery of education.